Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the ETB Volleyball Show with Coach Mashe. Coach, let's get into it here. A lot has happened since the last time we talked. Y'all have literally been all over the country playing volleyball and gotten the conference schedule started this week. Let's go to the most recent game that we need to talk about, and that was the conference opener this past Tuesday evening out at Clinton over in Mississippi. Y'all went up against Mississippi College and did one of your classic 5 setters out there, and came out on the short end of about as close as you can make it and not get a win in a volleyball match. 15-13 in the 5th and deciding game. Coach, I know that was disappointing for y'all. You always want to start your conference schedule on a high note, and so obviously now you're 0-1 and fighting up the standings. But just what was your, what are your feelings coming out of that game, and just talk about the match itself that was played the other night?
Sure. Well, I think we learned a really good lesson in that the fact that we played that game not to lose it instead of playing to win it. So we've talked a lot about that, and I think the girls realized that that's how they played. They played a little bit scared, and it's a tough gym to play in. It is every year. They play hard in their gym, and they worked really hard and wanted it. And we just, we were going through a lot of lineup changes and just trying to get people in a groove. So,
well, I looked at some records over the years and actually this summer and came up with some results all time. And going into that match, we were all time 23-2 against Mississippi College in volleyball, and both of those losses prior to the other night had been at Mississippi College, and right. So when they tend to get us, they tend to get us over there at their place.
Yes, it's just a tough gym.
And I know you don't want to use it as an excuse, but again, it's a very tough team over there. I mean, obviously they're in the playoff hunt every year, but you also took still a very young team over there in an environment that is, as you say, could be a little bit intimidating at times.
Right. Like I said, I was very, very pleased overall with, periods of that game, but just if we would have just played the win, I don't even think we would have necessarily even gone to 5. But we just, some decision making in the games that we made, it was a lot of the youth too. Right. But I think that we've learned some lessons and we're moving forward. So,
well, just looking at some of the stats from the match the other night, you had to be pleased with the way Ashley Lindsay particularly played offensively. She was your leader in kills with 13. Ashley, of course, was injured at the first part of the year, and I guess you started working her back into the rotation over the weekend. Just kind of talk about where she is, maybe a little bit physically, and is she kind of coming along here?
She is. She's coming along. I still think she's trying to kind of work the rust off a little bit. Even though she led us in kills, I still think that she works to hit a couple different angles and just continues to kind of work that injury, just time off, that she's only going to get better as the season goes on. We're just trying to keep her as healthy as possible because she's fiery for us and she wants to win. So we need her on the floor.
Carrie Kalina also had a very good match. She's been fairly consistent offensively for y'all through the first couple of weeks of the year. Carrie finished with a dozen kills the other night, and she was the only other player in double figures for ETBU. Defensively, of course, your rock back there, Nicole, led in digs with 25. Amy Wooten added 12. And then your freshman setter, I know she had some concussion issues from the first weekend, but she returned in a big way. Had a career high 40 assists. I think that's a career high for her early on, and also added 8 digs. So, stat-wise, you had some girls who had some pretty good nights, but again, it was just one of those deals where you just couldn't catch them on the scoreboard in the end after falling behind 2-1, and then the Tigers had to battle back and just couldn't finish it again, losing 15-13. Right. Okay, so now let's go on and talk about, first of all, again, before we move on, let's talk about what happened last weekend. Y'all took a trip out to the West Coast and played some pretty decent competition out at Cal Lutheran. Now, what was the trip like for y'all?
We had an amazing time. It was just a great experience, great team bonding, and we did. We got to see some teams that we've never seen before in a different style of ball, kind of that West Coast style, and it was a good experience. And honestly, their speed of ball was a lot quicker than what we saw against Mississippi College, which I think might have been a little bit of the situation, just kind of trying to go back a little bit, but we had a good time, and although we went 2-2, we did play some really solid teams, and to come away with 2 wins was pretty good. So
yeah, y'all got 2 wins on the first day of the tournament on Friday. Turned around and took a couple of fairly tough losses on Saturday against, like you said, some pretty good teams in Pacific and Puget Sound. So all in all, it was probably a good experience for y'all as far as getting to get on that plane and get out there.
It was. We just had a great time, and I was able to. We got in early enough to at least let them go see the beach, and so they had a wonderful time, and it was just a good opportunity for us to be together as a team and enjoy the fellowship. So
okay. Well, also looking at now the conference standings going into from here on out as far as going into the weekend, and I know there's some big games we'll talk about, but the Tigers right now, looking at the standings, Coach, it's almost like the standings have kind of flipped from what we're used to.
I know.
Defending division champion UT Dallas was upset the other night by Mary Hardin Baylor, and of course you guys are perennially up there in the top 2, and so the established teams are kind of having to fight from the bottom here, at least on the early on, aren't y'all?
Early on, I think so. I definitely think they lost some key players last year. We've lost some key players the last few years, and I think just all of us kind of getting in a groove. And it's going to be. I felt all along that this year is going to be a big battle in the East. I think everybody is more on an even field than before, and so I guess it just depends on who rises to the top.
Next game for the Tigers is Friday night over in Tyler at UT Tyler. A big 2-game stretch for y'all this weekend. I know you probably don't want to put a whole lot of stock in games this early in the year still,
Right.
but if there are big games in September, you have a couple big ones coming up this weekend, don't you?
We do. It's hard to play on the road anyway, and then to play those, typically are our 3 hardest matches on the road. So Mississippi College, Tyler, and Dallas. So we do. We have some big matches coming up, and I think we know the importance. And like I said, I think we learned some lessons against Mississippi College, and I feel like we're a little bit more prepared going into Tyler and UT Dallas. So, we'll see.
Well, hopefully we can meet next week and talk about a couple of big wins, especially on the road. And I know some of our fans are wondering if you ever get to play at home, but that is coming up very quickly. And so hopefully the Tigers can get through this road stretch and start taking care of some business at home.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll be back next week and talk with Coach Mashe. Until then, good luck to the Tigers, and we'll see everyone then.